Greetings, fellow Canadians, freedom lovers, members of the PPC and non-members. If you're not a member of the People's Party of Canada, please join up. It's like $5 a year and you can be on the right side of history. Well, today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a little bit of musing as to if you are a powerful agent in the world and you wanted to control the world situation and dominate, how would you take control of a democratic society? Now, of course, this is completely fictional, has nothing to do with the reality that we see in Canada now. It's just my musings as I'm driving down the road. All right, so you are this powerful entity, and you have a situation where the people can actually call for their own direction by voting in who they'd like to be able to control their country. So in order for you to be able to control the country, you have to control the political process. One thing that would be needful to do is to find out and which directions the people go in, and hopefully you can polarize the nation into going either in a left-right paradigm. That makes it simple, because then you can just go ahead and have two main political parties and establish them as your beacons of control, and it makes it a lot easier. So you want to be able to create all sorts of filters and processes to ensure that you have a two-party system. And in the event that things go rogue on you, you want to be able to have maybe a few other parties which you can have underneath your belt just in case. Won't be your first choice, but we have to have contingency plans. So how do you go about doing something like this? What you need to do is you need to go ahead and infiltrate all aspects of life, particularly the political parties that are dominating the nation. You can do this by all sorts of covert means. Typically, if you're going to go ahead and have your people go into a situation like that, you want to have them to be the most popular, charismatic type people, people that will do favors for other people and just be warm and welcoming and just be something that everyone is really happy about. These are the type of people that are the most influential and powerful, and you absolutely have to have these in your arsenal. Also, you need to have a support network for these people as they go and infiltrate. Another thing you can do, a very important means, is to control the media. You have to be able to control the narrative of what public consumption is, and so you want to be able to do the same sort of processes within the media organizations themselves. Place your people in there, gain control. You can do so also by acquisition, just buying out these companies and then placing your people in there, and if not that, then just going ahead and infiltrating. The infiltration of all aspects of society are very important in order to be able to have your checks and balances in order to thwart democracy. Okay, so what you go ahead and do is you get your main people in there, several people actually, in these political parties, bring them to the forefront, and if it comes to a vote, of course, this happens, you know, when people go and vote in their leaders. If you can, try and control that process as well. If you have to do it through corruption of some sort, extra ballots would be a good thing to do. Yeah, all sorts of things. So you have to gain control of that process as well. It's very important. So then, even if the people vote in another leader that by popular vote, then you can still control it. Throw in your extra ballots or whatever it is that you have to do, and get your man or woman in place. All right. So once you've gained control of these parties, and you have the media working with you, you can go ahead and you can polarize the country into the left-right paradigm and marginalize every other opposing group. You can even ignore them. It's probably one of the best things to do. Don't even go ahead and introduce them into the public eye. And You need to create a filter system too, as well, in order to make it so that any kind of opposition group would be able to have a very hard time in order to combat what you got going. One thing you could do is you could have it so that you have to have, and well, this is actually part of reality right now. I'm going to switch back into reality. And if you want to be able to be in the public debate in Canada, the leadership debate that's going to be televised, you have to have 90% of the candidates running in Canada in order to do that. So that's about 304 or 5 ridings that you have to have candidates in out of the 338. And if you don't have that, then you're not allowed to debate. Personally, I think that is just a big filter, and you need to be able to allow maybe something more reasonable, like if you have 50% of the candidates, that you should be able to be in the national debate, or even less. You know, any political party should be able to speak to the people. That'd be a better process altogether. But anyhow, switching back to fiction now, and all right, so now you go ahead and you have your political leaders within your political parties. You have to gain control of the members, and you have to create a culture in which they know that the MPs, the individual MPs who have their own ideas of things, that they get whipped into control, and you let it be known. Okay, so you have that in mind. So then what happens is you go ahead with, you have your one political party that's been brought into power, and if it ends up being, because you know you want to further things down the road, so you're going to be bringing in things that make people uncomfortable, and you got to push your agenda for where you want to go, and the people want to go in a different direction typically in which you would want to go. So you start bringing in your things, and you have to kind of beta test and whatnot, and you keep pushing and pushing, and if things are too hard, then you pull it back and whatnot. And ultimately what will happen, I think people will get fed up with a political party because they've gone too far. So what has to happen then is that puck has to be passed over to the other political party that you have control over. And then they can actually be in opposition. They can actually go ahead and say, well, you know, you got to have polling and focus groups in order to be able to find out what the people are thinking and wanting for, and you have to tailor everything upon what the decision process is going to be. So you can have it that these two opposing parties are fighting each other. You know, especially when it comes into the chamber there, where you see, you know, the politicians going back and forth, and it's very good theater. Public consumption is done there, and so that it appears that they are opposing forces, and let them get angry, let them stomp their feet or give their heckle remarks and everything else like that, and you have to make sure that you have the appearance that these two parties that you have control over are completely independent and fighting for the people's purposes. Okay, so you have that, and you can also have it so that because you've had your polling and focus groups, you tailor your party's language in order to get the vote from the people. Now the thing is that you don't want to go in that direction necessarily, so you're going to have to deceive the people and manipulate them. Now, for instance, an example might be you have a tax you want to bring in. People don't want the tax. You tried to push it forward and you beta tested it and there was a rejection of it. So then you have to pull back and say, no, we're not going to do the tax, but you'll have to find another way to do the tax in the background. So anyhow, these kind of things go on. Then, if there's any kind of opposition to this, let's say that people rise up and a new political party is created that wants to be able to do the will of the people, and the people are honest, then you got a problem. I got to backtrack here because in order to be able to gain control of the political parties and the processes, is you have to gain control of all the various different members of each political party. And there's different ways of doing it. You can do the carrot and stick approach. The carrot would be to you know, offer people praise and popularity, for them to become famous. Perhaps it might be a financial remuneration or special gifts, all these kinds of things. People can be corrupted for money, obviously. From there, if people are these politicians, if they're too honest and have integrity, well, then you might have to go another approach. You have to dig up dirt on them. If they're career politicians especially, you can gain control because they have spent a lot of time and energy to further their career in politics, and they don't want to have that killed off. So if you can dig up some dirt on them and approach them and say, well, hey, look, you know, we know that you want to go ahead and proceed with your political career, but you know, there's this dirt here, and we need some special favors. So, you know, what's your choice going to be? And they might capitulate depending on how you go ahead and present it to them. If people still have too much integrity and honesty and you're not going to be able to gain sway with them, there's other means that you can do. You can go ahead and invite them to a party, let's say, give them some kind of a date rape drug, and put them in bed with some prostitutes. Well, you know, put them naked in bed with some naked prostitutes. Or if you really want to go the distance, you know, put them naked in bed with some children, naked children, and take photos, and then you can go ahead and say, well, hey, you know, here's the situation. You want these to be released or what? You know, and if not, well, we need this done. If that still doesn't work, then you can threaten them with death, or their family with violence or death. And if all else works, you can just whack them, you know, go ahead and take them out. And you know, they killed themselves and shot themselves in the back of a head with a shotgun or any kind of crazy stuff like that, and they're gone, right? Okay, so now if you have a situation where you have another political party that rises up, and you got candidates with honesty and integrity, now you got a problem. So you're gonna have to filter them out big time. You're going to have to use your media. Your media has to go after them. You have to dig up whatever kind of small stuff that may arise with them, or even big, whatever, and make it national. And just go ahead and thwart the popular opinion. I mean, it's not just news that you can you know, use this with. You can also use comedians, television shows, all sorts of things. And you go after them that way and sway the people. You weaponize media is what you do. Okay, so that's one aspect of it. Again, you can go ahead and try and infiltrate the party. It's very important to have your people infiltrated in there right from the get-go, because if that party was to go ahead and arise into power, that you have your people in place, and people that have started from the beginning, people who are trusted and well liked, and all these kinds of things. So that would be your plan B, I guess. I mean, obviously, if you have your leader pushing forward things, and if you can get you know, not your leader but the leader of the people's situation there, going ahead and doing his things, if you have your infiltrators close by, if something was to happen to the leader, then your plan B can be in there. You can go ahead and take over the party, and you can go ahead and change things there. Of course, you've gained control of the companies that do polls, so that you can manipulate the people that way. I mean, you can say that they have no chance. You know, you have the media going and saying, well, they have no chance of going any distance. So people shouldn't really waste their vote or their time with this party, and then the poll numbers themselves. You can manipulate the polls, word it in such a way that it'll be a low poll count in order for you can honestly say, well, the new party only has, you know, a certain percentage and there's not looking very good for the election, and people say, well, that would be a wasted vote to go and vote for them. That's a very important aspect of it. Yeah, so this is how you gain control of a nation. You just have a left-right paradigm. It doesn't matter who people vote for, because, you know, people will get upset with one party or the other, and then they'll get fed up and they'll vote for the other one, and thinking that boy, they've done some good. They're going to help our nation, and really the fact of the matter is that the other party is going to further your agenda. So you give people the illusion of a democracy and free vote and freedom, and if they have that, they'll be content, they'll vent and do their vote, and after that, well, then you can go ahead and do business as usual. And when people get fed up with you doing business as usual with party B, then you go to party A at the next election, and on it can go. And eventually you come to a point where, because you want to destroy Western democracy, you want to destroy freedom and popular vote and these type of things. So you keep on marching the agenda forward until finally you come to a place in which you can fully bring in your totalitarian type system, and the people just don't have the power anymore. You got to take the power away from the people and bring it into your hands. And it's very problematic when you have a political party that would come up that would want to take away the control from you and bring it back into the people's hands. So anyhow, this is an ongoing battle that you will have, but if the people are not going to wake up and you keep them entertained, that's another aspect of the whole thing, is create fantastic entertainment. It's like a magician, you know. The magician is entertaining the people with one hand, while then the other hand he's doing his sleight of hand, right? With the sports as an example, you can go ahead and make it a great big all hyped up thing, and get all the people all passionate about fighting for their team, and you get that kind of mental energy out of the people, and instead of fighting you divert that onto the whole sports situation, and people will feel good about being, you know, manly or womanly as they go out and rah-rah for their team, and they're doing something good, all the while they really should have been doing that for, you know, the country, but you've diverted them. So that's a very important process. Keep the people entertained and programmed. Very important. Anyhow, with all of these things, this is how it's done, I believe, in a fictional term of things. And yeah, so I don't know, what do you think, I suppose? Again, you know, any kind of comments that you're going to make, this is a fictional proposal here and ideas, so everything you're going to say is fictional as well. Gonna keep on driving here, so hope you enjoyed my little entertainment there of fictional reality and musing. Yeah. All right, well, I hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you later.